What's the most awkward way someone accidentally exposed how much they cared about you? A few years ago, I worked the closing shift at this sad little grocery store that stayed open 24 hours for absolutely no reason. The overnight crew was basically 3 exhausted employees and 1 raccoon that lived behind the dumpster. And there was this older guy named Frank who worked produce. Frank was impossible to read, never smiled, never made conversation, would just silently mist vegetables at 2 a.m. like he was emotionally attached to the lettuce. I was 19 and honestly kind of scared of him at first, especially because he kept reporting me for dumb stuff. Phone out during shift, late by 3 minutes. Forgot to rotate milk cartons once and he wrote me up immediately. I complained about him constantly. One night I told my coworker, I swear Frank wakes up every morning hoping I get fired. My coworker just shrugged and said, yeah, he's weird with you specifically, which somehow made it worse. Then winter hit and my car completely died in the parking lot after closing. Wouldn't start at all. It was like 1:30 in the morning, snowing sideways, and I had maybe $14 in my bank account. I remember sitting there pretending not to panic. Then suddenly there's a knock on my window. Frank, he doesn't even say hello, just goes, pop the hood. For the next 40 minutes, this man is outside in freezing weather trying to fix my disaster of a car while muttering insults at Ford engineers. Eventually he gets it running. I thanked him like 5 times. He just nodded once and said, get home before the roads freeze. Next shift though, right back to normal. Cold, annoying, writing me up for leaving boxes in the wrong aisle. So I figured maybe he just felt bad for me that night. A few months later, my mom got hospitalized unexpectedly. I started picking up extra shifts because medical bills were wrecking us, and honestly I looked awful, barely sleeping, eating vending machine dinners. One night during break, I accidentally overheard my manager talking to Frank in the office. Manager goes, you know you don't have to keep covering for him. And Frank goes, kid's trying. That already surprised me because I didn't even know what he meant. Then my manager laughs and says, you've used all your vacation hours swapping shifts with him. And dude, my stomach literally dropped because suddenly a bunch of random stuff started making sense. Every time I needed a schedule change, approved. Every time I was late coming from the hospital, didn't get fired somehow. All those shifts that magically got covered, Frank had been taking them. The write-ups too. Turns out he wasn't reporting me to get me fired. He was documenting little mistakes so corporate wouldn't notice the bigger ones. Apparently if there was consistent correction, management could argue an employee was improving instead of terminating them. This grumpy produce guy had basically been secretly building paperwork to protect me from getting fired for months. I didn't even know what to do with that information. So later that night, I just awkwardly walked over while he was stocking apples and said, hey, thanks. Frank looked genuinely uncomfortable immediately, like I'd violated some emotional privacy law. Then he goes, your mom doing okay? That was the first personal question he'd ever asked me. I told him she was getting better, and he just nodded and said, good. Then after like 10 full seconds of silence, he points at a crooked fruit display and goes, still did a terrible job with these oranges though. And honestly, that somehow made me tear up more than if he'd hugged me.